Today's episode of One Page Story Extravaganza is proud to promote the Craft Hive, St. Thomas, Ontario, Canada. If you're in the region, check them out. It's a great little art shop. Here we go. Dramatic entrance. Hi, everybody. I hope everybody's having a good day. Take a sip from the cup. I'm perpetually in a state of fine-tuning, and I have fine-tuned a little bit more. I built my own desk. When I built my own desk, there was a part of me that said I should put an angled piece. I should put either a piece that bevels around between the corner of the desk that goes that way and the corner of the desk that goes that way, and just have this nice contour line, because I knew I'd be doing different things on different sides of the desk. I didn't do it. I've regretted ever since. And so I tried to solve that last night. And I'm feeling it. You know, it's good. Yeah, I'm happy with it already. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. Hi, Miriam. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard anybody else that's joined us. Today's page, I posted late because I've been doing stuff all morning. But hello. You know, I just plugging away. I've got some announcements for anybody that's tuning into the stream today, tomorrow. I'll be doing my stream tomorrow, and for a special little bit of holiday fun, I've got a plan. Now, I got a thing to go to for my grandkids, so it's a holiday Christmas play. I love those. I don't know about you. And if you're not a family person, I'm clearly a family person. But if you're not in the family way, you know, I'm sure that there's still people out there that still enjoy it cathartically through others or watching films. Go, oh, that's so nice, you know. But as a dad and now a grandpa, I love going to these things. I love getting ties made out of paper. You know, when the kids were growing up, I love that stuff. So the kids are putting on a Christmas performance tomorrow, and I'm really excited to see what I'm going. Another one going, instead of singing. It's going to be good. That's the good stuff. That's the stuff that I like. I like the chaos. Hiya, Chris. Welcome aboard. Okay, so a couple things. Today's page, I'll just go through that quick, and we're going to get right into the fun. What a shock to see a bear. Hey, eyes up top, huh? What are we looking at here, kids? Yesterday's suggestion came from Chris. It was 3 Prompt Tuesday, which makes today Wednesday, by the way, and I keep thinking it's Thursday. That's because I'm excited for something tomorrow. Now, I'm going to be doing some ink today. So I've got, well, I'll show you in a minute. Let's slow down, Chris. You're overexcited. All right. So today, this page was suggested on 3 Prompt Tuesday yesterday by Chris. It was bear, beer, and bear. Easy, right? Easy to understand. Beer, bear, and bear. So I've got him drinking beer as he tells a story about seeing a bear and seeing the bare backside of the bear. And it just blew him away. Anyhow, just some fun, just some silly quick mix media. I drew this page really fast in the course of doing a whole bunch of other things. Those that are following me on Patreon, where you get to see the originals of pages, I've been posting a whole bunch of pages. I think I posted 7 pages either yesterday or the day before, just in one day, and I'm going to do it again tomorrow. So, you know, I'm just trying to make sure that we try to hit that. I'm trying to hit 365 pages in 365 days. And I started January 15th. That's not the point. I want to do it in a year. So, and everybody just assumes the year is with New Year's Day. Usually, it's come to my knowledge that all is quiet on New Year's Day. Pew Bono impression by Jim Lujan. Anyhow, did the bear have a beard? Asked Miriam. No, the bear had a bear behind. Chris says, I love the story. I just didn't have enough time to draw yesterday. I was still in bed. It's important you're in bed. It's important that you're resting. But any of the suggestions that come through for the one-page stories, or however many page stories, any of the suggestions that come through that we do here, everybody's more than welcome to do them. And anybody that does them and sends me a JPEG of them, I'll put them up on the community tab. I'm trying to get more dialed in to doing things on the community tab, and I'm going to check it tonight and see whoever's written down their contact information on the community tab page. I'm going to be sending digital cards out tonight. That's a thumbs up. Okay, because it's fun, and it's really expensive to send in them all in the old traditional way, and it's been a big year. So welcome aboard, Dan. Dan's joined us. How are you today, sir? So today's page was fun, mixed media. I put some Letraset, Zipatone, Dayglow dots, whatever you want to call them. They're in there too, done traditionally. I've got a box here with all kinds of pieces of it. And I just lay them over top, cut them out. I showed yesterday. Today, now let's switch cameras. Now I switched my setup, so really easily I can just switch cameras like that without having to switch between screens. So that's fun for me. I don't know if it's fun for you, but it is for me. This is all ink. Now this is speedball printing ink. I'm sorry. These are some ink stamps down on the bottom. And then these are a bunch of various inks, acrylic inks, etc., etc. And this is the tool that I use. This is where I keep my nibs inside, my drawing nibs. But this, I use a speedball lino cutting tool as my quill pen for drawing in ink with. The reason that I do that is I find it helps me, one, stabilize my line, but two, it also helps me hold on to this sucker, because I have been having more and more problems with my hands. But that's okay. We're figuring it out. So there, and then I've got some different little brushes, little stippling brush, etc., in there for ink effects. So now the speedball inks, I keep them in this Tupperware tub, and the reason that I do that is because when you wet these, you can keep using these. Now, it doesn't work with the acrylic inks. If I put acrylic inks in here, they're dry, they're done, it's over. Move on. And they won't keep for you. But this is what we'll be working from today. Now, exciting news. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. I can't wait to tell you what I'm going to tell you about right now. Dan says, Cinderella's having a coffee between chores. Hiya, hiya, hiya. Nothing wrong with that.
Russia, this is Cinderella. Do that thing like Cinderella.
Anyways, just part of that whole movie is the mouse's song. This is what we're doing tomorrow. Tomorrow, I've only done one lino cut. Now, this is one of the lino cuts by one of my grandkids. I think it's an absolute work of art. We'll be using that. But this is the only lino cut I've done. And if anybody has watched Dee Dee's channel and she holds up the man, this is a man card by Christopher. I sent in a bunch of these, but this is the monkey who is scratching his butt. But it's not the important part. So, I've used that, done a page with that before. But these are pieces of lino. These are blocks of wood. So we'll be doing some lino stuff this week. A little bit of Christmas fun, folks. A little bit of Christmas fun. This is a really great old carving set that I bought. I probably would say 25 years ago, maybe 30. And I've kept them all this time. Really enjoy them. And this is one of the many metal letter sets that I have for printing. And I used to have a whole print studio of traditional roller printers and stuff like that I got from somebody. But I didn't have the space for it, so I moved it on. But I kept a whole bunch of little bits of business, bits and bobs. Here's some stars, etc. Here's some cool, crazy Russian-looking letters. So we'll be using this stuff here and having some fun with putting some images down and pulling some visuals off. So that'll be tomorrow. Dan says, I like a good monkey butt and an eggnog during the holidays. There you are. And Jim says, very metal. I'm not sure if that's really how their voices go, but that's how they're going today. I think I found out yesterday that Dan's voice is, I like a good monkey butt and an eggnog during the holidays. But as yet to confirm that. So I got, look at this. I marked out where the board goes so that I can keep it in camera all the time and not stray away from you. And where did he go? He's drawn off picture again. What's the matter with that guy? Hey, Jim, welcome aboard. I dropped a Bono reference earlier. Where were you? You left me out on my own there, pal. What's the matter? Okay, so yeah, so I'm getting ready for that. Now, I had the book out. Well, I didn't have it out, but I moved it somewhere. So, the Book of Tricks. Book of Tricks. I found some. Okay, I did this one. I did the Andre Rieu's place. So, a check. But I know that there were other things. So I've been thinking about some things, and I'm interested in hearing some responses on this, or some ideas from others on this. And that is, so one of those things that's presented over time is chauffeur's a bear. Oh, that's fine. I just did a bear. Okay. Goth version of The Office starring Robert Smith. The authority service Grace. Just trying to find where I've left off in the book. Where did I leave off in the book? I think I've got checks on all these. Yeah, we're getting a lot of stuff done. So if folks have suggestions, feel free to kick them in here. We're still okay. Hollywood symbolism. That's a fun one. Why not? It's a short one. Hollywood symbolism. I'll type it into the chat. But as usually goes, if people have one-page suggestions, hit me. Hit me. So hopefully I have the camera set up enough that I don't always disappear off half the time out of the thing. Is that right? Oh, Marvin. Yeah, right, Marvin. Okay. Sorry, Marvin. I thought I wrote down your name wrong. Anyway, I know Marvin is. What am I doing? All right. So, there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. First, the title for today is Spend Some Time Over the Holiday Making Art If You Can. If you get a little bit of downtime, we all do different things in order to decompress and to rest. And there's all kinds of intentions that a lot of people always have about, I want to work on this project, or I want to do this massive thing. I want to paint the Mona Lisa. I would like to actually paint every ceiling in the house that I live in with angels and all kinds of other things. Okay. Just if you get a chance to scribble some things on paper or whatever it is over the holidays, enjoy that. Just enjoy that. Don't get caught up in all the other, I got some time off, I'm going to do all the things. Just do things as you do things and allow yourself the little victories and celebrate those. So I think that I know that I've heard a few different people telling me all kinds of grand ideas about what they're going to do over the holidays. And every time I'm like, deep breaths, Billy. Take it easy. And the other thing I want to chat about, what kind of let's use an acrylic. Let's pull out some acrylic inks. I got a orange and a green The fancy names, I know. Who are you? That's it. Okay, and I got some not acrylic inks here as well. So that's good. That's good soup. Okay, and I got this. So another thing I wanted to chat about was there's a great deal. I got a question the other day, and it really sent my head for a loop. And because I had a conversation with somebody about a solid week and a half ago about social influencers and how I don't think that they're real. And anyone that is, strives to be, I'm a social influencer. Everybody in the world influences each other socially. It's called interaction. We all do it. But there's this whole shtick about all I do is socially influence, and I travel around and da-da-da-da-da. So Miriam said, I don't know that kind of paint names. Could you please simplify? We'll try it again. Orange. Green. Miriam is so funny. My goals for each holiday period is to art, sleep, and watch the TV series I normally don't have time to do during a term. Nice. Excellent. Cat face. That's a great way to go about it. Just schedule out, I'm going to do these things whenever I get to do these things. I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. Now, today's suggestion is Hollywood symbolism. That's, I don't know. I don't know what even to put in the thing. So the other part is like when you're engaging with other people out there, do you feel like that there's a question of whether or not we realize that our statements and actions influence others? And I think that that's just real and true, period. Like just real and true. That's it. And this whole social influencer nonsense thing, I don't get it. I really don't get it. I don't know what that means. And if the representations of who these people are in the world are true, I wouldn't in any way want to be a person that would claim myself as to be one of those, because from all I can recognize, they seem to be horrible people. So anyway, somebody asked me, like, do you feel like with the amount of followers you've got, you're a social influencer? My answer is no. So, because I think that largely what we're doing here together is just talking and playing out different ideas on paper and exploring storytelling and art and just having fun, as opposed to, I don't know, whatever these people get up to showing off their crazy expensive shoes. Again, I don't really understand what they do. So if anybody has an answer on that one, I'd love to hear it. Chris also likes to throw away stuff I haven't used in a year. That's a great idea. Give it away. Pass it on. Give it to a thrift store or some kind of place that gets it out to people at lower incomes. I tend to donate a lot of stuff to a lot of different things, but I fight mountain lions and play electric guitar solos on the mountaintop during the holidays. That's just me. Okay, question. Do you do the mountaintop guitar solos before, after you fight the lions? I mean, that is the thing that separates the winners from the losers. I don't know. But Miriam says, social influencing means, which kind of paint are you using? I must order. I just order. Yeah, I don't know. Here's something I got at a dollar store. I don't think that induces anybody to run out and, I must order those. I must order this ridiculous contraption that he's made out of a speed ball lino cutter for him to hold a nib. Yeah, so Yeah, and then there's this societal thing about I expect all of these things for free because I'm, blah blah blah. I don't quite understand that either. I mean, sure, it's free marketing, free product marketing for whoever, like the company that's hawking out the free stuff. But somebody, the part of this conversation was, you should contact so and see if they'll give you free things. And because you got a bunch of people that follow regularly, I'm like, that's not our people. That's not what we're doing. So I should get my hair dryer out. Let's just start with the inks first. Give that guy a minute to dry. All right, so let's get crack-a-lackin'. What shall we? So we'll draw the Holly Weird sign. Let's make sure we spell it correctly. I'm pretty sure I've got the correct spelling. If anybody thinks I've done this wrong, please let me know. This, in my head, sort of, I've already started this, and it kind of feels like a bit of a Mad Magazine thing, like how Mad would go about riffing off on, popular media, films, Hollywood, all those ridiculous people. Social influencer. I'm staying away from that, LOL. Well, I think that's the thing, right? Like we all influence each other socially. So the idea of being one of these people, I appreciate that there's these guys that have like I got 200,000 followers, and their determinations are the be all end all of what's cool and what isn't. And I know a number of people that like, okay, specifically, I'll talk about, there's a site that talks about comics and wrestling, and if you know what I'm talking about, don't put it in the comments. Nobody needs your help. Is it this? Did I say its name? Do you think there's a reason I didn't say its name? I gave somebody a hard time about that the other day. But it's anyways, and on this site they have fun, and they're good people, and they're going through the whole thing of here's what we find interesting, and they're showcasing some of the stuff that they enjoy, and that's all fantastic and cool. But when I used to work at the shop, I'd always get people coming in, and you could tell they're all, bro, I'm looking for this thing, and it's like, first they call me bro, and a lot of it was that they just want to be part of that thing, and they want to follow. Everybody must read this book because we've been told it's cool by this person, and that's great, and it gets attention and interest to people's work. But it's not like these aren't corporate books that they're talking about, because they are. They don't need help. They're corporate machines. The corporate machines are gonna sell however many units anyways. So on that front, it's like, I get what they're doing, but I kind of don't care. But there are people that would just, if they say it's cool, it's cool. If they say it's not cool, it's not cool. And I don't get that. Like, I guess that's what a social influencing person is. But it just, to me, feels part of that epidemic that's going on in the world right now, where people have stopped thinking, like, for themselves. They've stopped figuring out what it is that they enjoy and they don't enjoy. They're just sort of jumping on the bandwagon of this is the enjoyable thing, says this authority that they've enabled to be an authority. And I find that strange, and I find that boring. But I think that is as close as I can get to my understanding of what and in this world, I guess, is a social influencer. That, or the people on the websites that if you send in your artwork, I'll do a critique of it. Why would you do that? Why would anybody do that? Is it the whole I've connected to this person that I think is cool? Or is it some sort of masochistic, I want to be abused publicly? Because they're not going to look at it and go, there's no problems with this. This is perfect. That's not what their shtick is. They're going to tear you apart. They're going to tear whatever you do down or find flaws in it. And they're going to one extent, try to give you advice and some criticism, but to another extent, denigrate you. And there are people in your own life or people that I'm sure that you have more trust in as an individual that I promise you want to help you without you publicly doing that to yourself. Chris says, influencers are stupid. I got recommendations of one woman who is emaciated to the bones, and she does lives on TikTok aimed to young girls. These kids send her money and tell her that she looks beautiful. She has lingerie showing her bones and making up her face. How come the parents of these kids don't know what they are watching? And shocking. Well, that's easy. That's an easy answer. Because we live in an age where kids want devices and their parents give them devices. These technological devices and the kids are smarter than we are with them, and they will figure out ways to get out into the world. Whatever restrictions you put on it, they're going to figure out a workaround, because that is what kids do. And all it takes is talking to Billy at recess. He goes, well, here's how you get around your parental controls. And that's it. They're running wild in the streets with a gun in their hands, because that's kind of what all this social outlet and connection in the world is, without enough emotional maturity to figure out how to handle it. Dan says people do it for validation. They're not getting validation. They're not. They're just not. And there's no getting validation from those individuals. You're just feeding into the narcissism. I am better than you. I know more than you. I'm going to tear it down. It's not the same as, if you're doing this, try this thing out. I tried this and it worked for me. And I think that's great that you're doing that thing. I did a similar thing and I tried using this. I don't know if you use that. Use this. That is validating your approach and saying, if there's any aid that I can give, this is it. But send your stuff in, and I will spend X amount of minutes, publicly showing you how I would have done it correctly, and you're wrong and I'm right. We all know those people. We don't need those people. It's the same as the school teachers that you had, where I'm trying this and I'm kind of feeling like this is my take on what you're talking about. I don't know if it's exactly what you're talking about or if it specifically needs to be. And then the teacher says, no, you've done it wrong. This is all wrong. I don't know what you're doing here. This is a mess. You're not doing this correctly. It's like, it's just drawing, man. It's just drawing. It's just doing whatever. And if it takes me a little bit longer to do the work, I don't know if that helps or not. But I've said this before, and we all know this stems back to Chris doesn't like being told what to do. But if everybody thinks that this person has authority, it's only because they're giving away their autonomy and granting the authority to this individual. And who are they? I mean, who are they? Like, I worked at Disney for 6 weeks. Congratulations. I'm sure that was a really great experience for you. I hope it was, But you don't get to rip people up afterwards. That's not fair, and that's not nice. Chris says that skeletal woman is a millionaire and asks her fans to send her money for 8 or 12 hours every day. Well, that's why she has money. That's how she has money. She's preying on people for her own betterment. And, people will give it to her because, they're unfortunately getting the wrong messages, and they're getting messages of your sense of self-worth is in the validation of another individual. Like all these people that carry on about Trump and carry on about Elon Musk and carry on about, whatever those guys are that do the driving show on British television, or anybody. Oh, that's such and so. Oh, Jeremy Clarkson, that's his name. Anyway, that, when you're carrying, oh, that guy and that guy he has nothing to do in your life, because he's no different if he's a lawmaker or whatever it is at the top. You can't influence that anyways. So there's no point in being upset at this one over that one. They're all the same. But a lot of people get really irate about so-and-so or such and such because of tribalism. Their tribe doesn't like that one, so therefore they go on. And it just gives these people what they want. They want that social, validation for themselves. And so you're giving them fuel for their fire. They don't need it. I'm a public figure because I was on a TV show called Big Brother. I heard somebody say that, and I'm like, what did you do on that thing? The worst part is that there are YouTube channels criticizing this woman, and they get thousands of new subscribers every day, while channels with positive and nice content like ours, art channels, lose subscribers. Well, we're just people. And I think that I generally think that creative types tend to have a bit more grounding on a little more rationale in their self-assessment. And I think that one of the reasons for that is that we are not in pursuit of one. We are in pursuit of the one thing. We are in pursuit of another thing. And that other thing is the communication that we're trying to get out in the creativity that we're pursuing. Because it's inherently what it is. It's just another form of communication. It's just another form of trying to express some ideas and to get them across to other human beings. And that is far more involved in our world. That is far more motivating to us than, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because there's a switch. There's a switch that happens, I think, in some of these people, especially the art people that go on to be these whatever social people, because they do less art, or at the very least, they'll do less of the art that is of their own. Like they'll spend more time doing this drawing of this character, or this pinup of that thing, or this whatever. Now, I've advocated before here on if you're enjoying doing SketchUps and illustrations and stuff, and you want to be a storyteller, stop doing all these sketches and pinups of other people's things and do more of your own. And the reason that I often encourage that and suggest that is that they don't need your help. None of these things need your help. They're doing their thing on their own way. And if you're going to do that for anybody, do it for startups, do it for independents, do it for, so-and-so that's doing his book about farting monkeys. That's for Janet. And do a illustration of his thing for them, because then that shows to other people that there is other interest out there of whatever it is that they're putting out, and that gives them some support. So, but you don't need to be drawing the big corporate things and think that you're involved in any way with their world. I think that I advocate, in the same regard as I advocate for that, I would advocate that if you can do what you do without pulling what somebody else is doing apart, and Chris, that sounds hypocritical, you're pulling those things apart, because that's not real. Real is you're making a thing, and you're making your thing as yours, and that in and of itself is wonderful and powerful. And I have no business doing anything to diminish that. If people send me stuff, and I've had this happen 3 times now this year, 3 times. That's as many times as it's happened. So-and-so sent me their work to look at this weekend. I don't know how often that happens for people, but 3 times people have sent me stuff and said, what do you think of this? And I always say, this is great. And it's not because I'm just being like that parent that, I do this, Mom. And you go, that's very nice, honey. I'm not being that person. I'm not stepping into those sort of mindsets. What it is that that's great. It's wonderful what you did. And I'll clarify with people. Is there something specific you're asking towards the work or anything along those grounds? And each time that's become, well, yeah, give me some tips or advice. And so it'll actually become a conversation, because tips or advice about what? What is it? How can I help? Like, you got a good grasp of this, and you got a great handle on that. And what are you looking for? That's as most I think I think I should be allowed to do. I don't think that you did this wrong is of any benefit to them, because the walk away from that is not a good feeling. So when it comes to engaging with others on the things that they do, I want to do so considerately. So, because I splash some ink, because at the end of the day, I'm just a person telling stories. And if I can just share some of the process ideas about how I create and make these stories, and that empowers somebody and enables them to then go about and make their own stories. Super slow moving thumb, right? But I don't have lots and lots of followers. I mean, I've only been doing this on a regular basis since the start of the year. January 15 will be my 1-year anniversary of doing this on a regular basis. And Dan says, you can take my work off the fridge now, Christopher. In the year of doing this on a regular basis, we've a bunch of people have joined in, and I've tried to join in and be supportive as best I can to a bunch of people, and to support, the creative community. Like, I had a little thing up at the start of this thing about this art supply store that I really appreciate what they do, and I want to encourage others to go and check them out. Just a fun store, nice people, in a small city. They could use somebody just saying, hey, I like them too. That's it. But I'm never going to sit here and do walkthroughs and criticisms of other people's work. I can't do that. And I don't understand why thousands of people are like, I want to watch him destroy somebody else's creative expression. I will never get it. I will never understand it. So as far as it goes for this question that I've been wrestling with, about a week and a half. It's been about a week and a half of this. I don't believe that I'm one of those influencer people. If there's ways that people have gleaned anything in their own creative journey from some of the yapping that I'm doing here on the stream, great. I'm just thinking thoughts and making pictures while sitting in my studio, working away on X, Y, Z. And there's no part of me that is a fantastic start. Fantastic start. There's no part of me that thinks in any way, shape, or form that I have anything over top of any of us that get together. I find that maybe this is me. If anybody else has another take on this, please feel free to put it in the comments, in the chat. I tend to find that a lot of the people, as we're getting together here, are all really interesting, creative people. And I try to look at what they're doing, and I think that them coming in here is another forum place that I think, like me, it allows them some kind of interaction while isolated in their studio, working on things, to know that there's other people on a creative journey. And I think that pretty much the majority of people that come here are of that mindset. So, we're 200 and something followers now. But on a regular, I think there's 30 of us that are getting together and going to each other's things. On average, like I try, everybody does their best, but I do my best, but I can't get there everything. I'm debating on how I change up how I'm posting in the new year so that I can support and encourage a couple of other streams that are running simultaneous to my own. And it's also largely because I stream so much, And it's not because of, I'm anything more extra. It's just totally because I'm working here in the studio anyways. A, and B, it actually gives me a kick in the seat to keep up on my schedule in my day-to-day. So, keeping a regular routine is a smart and healthy thing for us all to do. I'm only allowed to chew gum between 6:15 and 6:25. And I swallow it, because that's the most healthy way to go. I think that whether it's politic, art, any kind of interest that you have, whatever it is, the more that you allocate some sort of moral authority or creative authority or whatever to anybody over yourself, is not doing anything for you. It's a benefit to others. Well, I want to know how to do this. Well, I'll go to such and such because their way to do it is the best of all, and because they're the best at all the things. There's no such thing as best at all the things. There's lots of people that have a greater degree of proficiency in one thing or another. And like, I'm just a utilitarian. I'm just a person that draws in a bunch of different things. It's still just drawing. And is it perfect perspective and perfect everything? No. But, I'm thinking about what Dan said right now. You can take my artwork off the fridge. We actually have artwork all over our fridge. We've got whatever things that people send us, we put up on the fridge. And we've got a couple things now. A couple prints from people, and a couple of Dee Dee did a drawing of Corbin, or she colored an image to make it look like Corbin. That's up on our fridge. Like, there's just all kinds of stuff like that. So all kinds of art from the grandkids. I got that not only on the fridge, but around in my studio here and things like that. And I always think that's fun. And I've got friends painting stuff on the wall, and I kind of like that. It's because I'm a social influencer. Okay, so I've got, now this is an acrylic ink. I think this is this an acrylic, or is this have I drawn with a regular ink? Let's read the side. Yeah, I've used the regular ink, I think. Maybe, we'll see. Well, we're finding out the hard way. If it bleeds all over the place, we know that I used the wrong ink, and it's not so far. Yay, team! So this is I'm doing a couple of, because today's page is something Hollywood, it actually fits really well with what we're talking about. There it is, Hollywood symbolism. Today's suggestion. Thank you, Marvin. Okay, so I'm just doing some fast and easy associative images. The Hollywood on the hill sign. There's the walk of the actors, whatever that promenade is called, where people spend egregious amounts of money on fancy outfits and things and step across the nameplates of creative people. You know that in this world that there's special cemeteries for actor people. I just think that's crazy. Why? They're dead. Anyhow. So the other question going right now is, what are you going to do during your the holiday season? Chris says, I can't influence my cats except when I open a can of food. Well, you can influence when they eat. Not just how they go about eating it. You know, I love it. I don't know if I can even influence my cats with that. There's an interesting thing that I found. So at the end of this first year, as I'm taking stock of what I'm doing and what's next, I don't want to be that guy that in any way, understands myself to be something more special or more important than what other people are doing. And so that's why I'm looking at my schedule to see if I can switch things around so that I can enjoy and get to watch other people's or play other people's streams at the very least. I don't watch as much as I get to listen while I'm working in the studio. So if I can alter the course a little bit for myself so that I can pull that up, I'm going to do that in the new year. And holidays are fairly busy for us. I don't have time to I definitely can't commit myself to anything over the holidays, because we're celebrating as we're celebrating with the family, because we've got 5 kids and our schedule is whatever fits into their schedule. So, but there's lots of fun things going on. Today, Maxie says hi to all. Hi, Maxie. Maxie, I think it's Miriam's son, I think it is. Son or partner. I'm not actually sure. I just know it's Maxie. Maxie's fun. Okay, so I've got this drying for a second. While that's drying, let's get into some more Holly weirdness. Do we want to draw some obnoxious stars or something, or is there anything anyone would suggest for how we take on Hollywood symbolism? Oh, Dan, this is maybe my favorite thing. You're getting a star, bud. Social influencer. Is that like the boring uncle that showed vacation slides during the 70s? The one that claps you too hard on the back? Yeah, good to see you, bud. You're getting big, and you as he hits you in the. That's yeah, maybe. I think it might be. Except for it's kind of a little bit different than that, in that these are people listening to children. These are generally affluent children. Let's start there. I'm so-and-so, and this is my fancy car, and I live the good life. And people spend their time watching these people. And largely because I think it's wantonness of their own to have the things that those people have, but also I think because, I think it's just dreams to have those lifestyles, to have those accommodations. Maybe I grew up in poverty here, and there are a great deal of things that I saw others with, and I thought, oh, that'd be cool, but how can I make that myself? That's kind of what I did a lot. So, but that's pretty brilliant, Dan. It's a great way to say it. It's your kind of annoying uncle or aunt. Miriam says that was my dad. The holiday slides person, that was your dad, yeah. Okay, so let's do the what is it called? The red carpet. Let's do the red carpet and get on with this. Showing just a couple more locations. And what I'm going to do is this. This is my intention. The reason that I'm drawing locations right now, and I'm going to come back in once this dries and come back in and pull things back out with the white. Okay, it's one thing to flatten all this down with these colors, but I want to pull them back out and then push them further back. So we're going to come in and tint and shade that sucker up. So, but I want to show some of these ridiculous locations before I start drawing all the vapid people. Hi, I'm so-and-so. I've been in 3 blockbuster movies where I do unrealistic things, and everybody thinks that I'm this nationally talented and athletic. And here's how I think you should vote. You know those people? Our creepo church in California isn't a cult. No, we're a tax break that controls people's lives. That's a Scientology reference, if in case anybody's looking at it. And that just came up in somebody's computer thing that looks for people to say Scientology. So those people are crazy, and I love it. Holidays, holiday vacations are any opportunity. Slides. We transferred all of Lori's dad's slides, and he'd only taken like eight rings of slides in like 30 years, 40 years. And we transferred all those digital for her dad. But it was kind of really interesting to see all the beehive hairdos and everything else. Him and his sisters. And he was alive during World War II. He just passed away this year. Holiday symbolism, that's the plastic surgeon and Acapulco. There we go. Miriam's dad had discovered Super 8 films. Is that right? The plastic surgeon and Acapulco. Okay, we'll have to put a surgery in there. You're right. We'll have to do that. I was starting off with these symbolic things that they're like, this is what Hollywood's all about, glitz and glamour and blah, blah, blah. So I thought we'd start facetious and then get a little bit more exposing, a little bit of an expose. So, yeah, I think that there's a turn right ideology that I have in place for if a lot of these actors think that so-and-so is the candidate that I would choose the other one. Honest to God, just choose the other one. Whatever, they all think that this person's great. These people don't have a grasp of reality. They were a farmhand in Utah with good looks that decided to step off a tractor and go and become a special CIA operative agent, completely unbelievably in films and television shows. And for God's sakes, Tom Cruise tried to play Jack Reacher in movies. That's not one of the most ridiculous, narcissistic things I've ever heard. Talk about missing the mark. If you don't know what I'm referring to, look up the description of the character of Jack Reacher in those books and tell me that just wasn't about feeding somebody's ego to cast them in that role. That's just ridiculous. Okay, so this is the promenade that leads up to some sign that has a red carpet anyhow. I have films created by my grandparents, but not a projector to watch them. I don't know if they can be converted to a file to rewatch. Yes, they can. Go to your public library. Go to your public library, or if you don't have a public library where you are, look up online about transferring. There are places that you can send stuff to online, and they'll get it done for you. There's There's all kinds of different ways to get that set up for yourself. Okay, so I'm going to draw this large globe that has words going around it. I don't know what company that is. Who cares? Looks like Universal. Though the images that I'm working from are like this big, so because I'm not trying to draw specifically the images, I'm just trying to get down the idea. It was a lot more fun being 20 in the 70s than being 70 in the 20s. Dan says, when you find out a 5'7" actor is trying to play a 6'2" character, I think Jack Reacher is actually 6'6". I think he's even bigger than that. Like there's a television series on Prime right now where they've hired an actor who actually looks like Jack Reacher, and I think his hair is blonde instead of like just sort of the nasty brown as it's described. So maybe it's like a dull blonde or something. I don't know, but he's the right size. He's the right persona. Like he puts out the right attitude. He's anti-authoritarian, adherent to authority. He doesn't. Somebody says, "You want to tell us why you're in our small town?" It's like, no, I don't. What makes you think I should have to do that? Meanwhile, he's, combat veteran and all this stuff. But Tom Cruise, give me a break. I think I find it really funny when. Well, here's a funny thing that even happens in that Reacher show, and I think it's a far better example of a character. But he goes into any thrift store, like he doesn't carry luggage. He just goes into thrift stores and changes his outfit and buys clothes there. So he ends up wearing weird T-shirts and things like that a lot. But the fact that this guy walks into a small town thrift store, finds clothes that perfectly fit him, and his larger than normal physique, with his skinny jeans and his broad shoulders and his muscles are all showing off, well defined in the clothing choices that he just makes randomly in a random thrift store in a small town in Texas. And it's like, I have to drive across the city of almost a half million people that I live in to find shoes that fit my feet because I wear size 15. You're not going into thrift stores and finding clothes that fit you. You're just not, That is TV land, movie land nonsense. And in the books, he's also wears the clothes that he has each time for a few days on end until somebody says, Reacher, you think it's time I change my clothes? Like, it's just so honest. But like, that's one of the silliest things that happens on that show. And Dan says, oh man, yeah. It's even a good rendition of a literary character in a television program. Even then, there's ridiculous exaggerations. Because it's not Hollywood that have to explain that it's impossible to find clothes. It takes too long. What is that, 15 seconds? Too long. There's certain characters like Parker or the guy that wrote Bonfire of Vanities. He also had another pen name in which he wrote the Parker series, which is about the most unlikable thug of a thief. He can't go and borrow a cigarette at the counter of a small cafe or something without stealing the cigarettes. Like he can't. He's just not a nice person all around. And yet that's the protagonist of a number of series, and his character's name is Parker. And there's things that he said in different books, like, if you got a first name Parker, it's like, you got something invested in asking me that for, pal? He's just a jerk. Just say I'm not telling him my name, But what went to a box, Christopher? I thought of battleships with 13s. My I was worried with my kids that they would have gigantic feet, but they're 12 and 13. You can find those. There's a place across the city here called Factory Shoe. Huh? What a gorgeous name. It looks like an industrial factory, and they have shoes, but they also have a wall of selection in my size. And that is not easy to come by. So, all right. So I've got this big globe thing from a film company. Got this promenade with the red carpet in front of it, which I think has something to do with one of these baloney arbitrary award shows. And I've got the Man's Theater, I think it's called, with the Hollywood stars in it, and I got the words. I think that's how you spell Hollywood, and the hillside. So I was going to come in. Now that this is dried, I think I'm going to come in and pull out and push back some of the details. And so what I've got over here is a thing of water that I dip the pen in, swish it around, and then I've got some paper towel that I then, rub the quill on and try to take out any remaining active pigment that's on this pen. So I'm back to a nice clean top on a clean quill on my pen, so I can dip it into a different colored ink. Okay, so we're gonna take this one and let this dry a little bit, and then we're gonna come back in. So I've got a jelly roll pen, and I've got a, now I can do it a couple ways. I can either put some green in there, or I can, I think I might do this. So I've got this little little stamp pad. I tried to say pant instead of stamp and pad, and I just mixed the words together, because I'm styling. So I'm just gonna press this guy down a little bit and just monkey around. I don't know how much is left in this pad. Well, there we go. We got some. And just stamp that over there. And I'm not concerned about just keeping it to the ground. I'm cool like that. So, and then I'll use this one. I've got a little blue. Oh no, here's the lovely. This is my favorite green, by the way. In case anybody's asking. This is like an olive green that's going down here now. I'm stamping over that. And it's not really opaque. It's a nice translucent. But that's probably because it's largely. There we go. Pen went under the desk. Jim says, look, I base all my decisions and moral principles on Hollywood actors. How dare you? Here's a question. Does anybody know anyone that bought Gwyneth Paltrow's candles? Somebody told me about those the other day, and I laughed because, I want me some of those. Moral authority is what we give to other people. That, we may not want to do. We may not want to do that. Why do people listen to Harry and Meghan? Two are morons. And clearly in history, I would have been a parliamentarian over a monarchist. Guy Fawkes all the way, baby. So this is another one of these acrylic inks. I like these inks. I like the Bombay company. They're not very expensive, but they're good. They work fairly well. I buy the occasional one when I can because things cost money and we can't afford to have everything. Do you mean the tax shelter candles? Is that what those were? Is that the whole purpose of that? Was as a tax shelter? Or is it just this weird fetishist thing wanting people to smell their business? You got to be a special kind of crazy to think that that's a marketable thing. All right, so here is the Holly Weird sign. And I've just gone around the information at the top of it as opposed to pulling all those details out. And then now I'm going into this one and I'm throwing in some tone in different places in here. And not too much. Just having some fun, cutting out some shapes. It's a different approach to image making, but I find it fun. One of the things I might do with this page is when I scan it, there's a part of me that just wants to do color flat layers, like just flat punches of line over here and over there, of flat values over there, and like a translucent application. Just because. So, just putting some information down, and I'm back to the other one. And so the next stage would be, after drawing X amount of these location images, is to draw a number of the redonkulous individuals that are in this world. It's funny when you think about it. Here's something to consider. They spit out absolute ridiculous product on these motion pictures and things, spend millions of dollars, billions of dollars over the course of a year in these companies, producing what? Mission Impossible 26, or I don't know what they're doing, but he didn't mean to offend you, Jim. He's only ignorant. He'll learn. Nice. I hope I upset people that. Oh, I'm all about Gwyneth Paltrow scandals. Nice. I'm a big fan of Harry and Meghan. Good. There we go. I saw all kinds of report. There's this guy out of Toronto who's actually from the prairies here in Canada, and he was doing an interview and he had a heart attack during it, which is really sad. But there's all these, oh, what do you think is happening? What's going on? And what's the dealio? Because he's a great influence, a social influencer. It's like, who cares? Sorry, he's got poor health, and I hope he feels better. But when we stop telling the truth about things going on in the world, and we focus more on an argumentative person who's had some health concerns, and like that's a priority. It's kind of a weird world we live in. So I'm not sure if this is going to work, or if I need to switch to the paint pen. I have the paint pens. So let's start on this one. This is probably dry enough by putting. How's that turning out? Can you see that at all, or should I be using something different for folks. Maybe you'll come in. Yeah, let's try this. Want to get weird? Let's go weird. Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, that's fun. So I've got the orange acrylic. I've got yellow wash. I've put some dark green acrylic. And now I'm in here with a light green paint pen just to play with some of these marks and to shake up the environment. The intent with this is to put the focus on an element, I think, is how I'm going to approach this. Dan says, did she have outdoor pizza oven that was like $20,000? Who's that? I'm not sure. I enjoyed Obliterated yesterday. I don't know what that is. Weird colors. Green. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's all about the weirdness. Okay, so the green pops up. So if that's working there, I'm going to use this acrylic white. These are inexpensive paint markers that I've just thrown on the floor. Let me get this guy started. I think I lose this again. Nothing. What does this pen need? Courage. Gwen. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't give them, I don't know what they're doing. I just know that they put out candles that smell like their business. Yeah, it's a bad actress. Can't even watch that person in films. Okay, so I'm throwing down some little lines and shapes. Just getting weird with my colors again. Well, what I'm referring to here really is the color field choice. There's nothing weird or different about orange and green. These are normal colors, but I think it's the application part that I'm referring to. It's a really fine point on this sucker. These were really inexpensive. Yeah, that's a really nice point on this. It took a minute to get this guy going, but he's going now. Okay. So I'll hold this up and see. This is where we're going with Obliterated as a television series. Okay. I'll have to see if it's on one of the things I got. Take a look at what it is. I'm not familiar with it. I was excited that it was Thursday today because tomorrow, the guy, Zack Snyder guy, I'm not really a Zack Snyder. I don't think I've seen any of his films that were like, oh, wow, he's neat. But he put through a proposal to do a Star Wars like a Star Wars series. And when Lucasfilm to Disney with all of its properties, they just canned it and created the pieces of garbage that they did. But now he's doing his own Netflix said, hey, we'll make your movies. We'll make your movies. So you got laser swords in it. Although in this show, they're liquid hot magma. That's fun. It's pulling that back out again. So I had considered about using one more color here. Okay. All right, we got something started there. No, I dropped a bunch of things on the floor. Chris went under his desk and was never seen again. Okay. Those are fun. Okay. So the idea with this page and the suggestion of Hollywood symbolism as a page is a fun idea. It's a fun idea, but it's not going to be a very nice one. After Gary passed, I just sort of gave up on Star Wars. Okay, yeah. A lot of people felt that way. After watching I'm watching a documentary on Netflix about industrial lights and magic in the first films. And then Chris says confers with Dan's statement about Carrie Fisher. The thing that always stays with me is when you look at a lot of the unique factors of the first Star Wars film, the 1977 one, there's a lot of really interesting editing choices. And there's a lot of really interesting, like just a lot of cuts that are in that are really interestingly placed. And so the editor of Star Wars is the same editor that worked on Taxi Driver by Martin Scorsese, which is a really weird fun fact. It was George Lucas's wife. So the first cut of Star Wars that Lucas put out, it didn't have a lot of those really interesting cuts and approaches and different choices that were being made in his cut. From his primary direction of the cut. And so when Martha Lucas reapplied her techniques that she'd utilized in Taxi Driver, it changed everything. That is one of the interesting factors that makes it what it is. And so when they've tried to replicate that with these, what are they called? Sequels. You can't lose that factor for contemporary cutting. And there's contemporary cutting in the new sequels. There is a really interesting thing going on with how she edited films. And I think it set the tone and made it what it was. And when you pull away from that for these chop, 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 chop action shots, as opposed to da-do, 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 chop, ba-do, 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 people shooting back at each other that way for, angle shot, this thing. That's why it's another reason why they don't seem the same. They don't feel the same. This is the bar room scene from the first one will probably always stand out. All of those aliens were created by students. There's a lot of those aliens that were in that barroom scene are created by people in the late teens and early 20s from college in California. I think that's a lot of fun. The last trilogy, it's not good for me. I'm about to watch Ahsoka. So let's see. Yeah, I don't have Disney as a channel. I don't. I just can't do it, and I really don't understand why they don't release things on Well, I know why they don't release things on hard copy from Disney's programs, is that they want to lock you into having to watch their station. Why give away the goods by selling DVDs so people don't have to tune into the Disney Channel? Okay, so I got the sign now. One more pinch of weirdness. So I've got an orange paint marker, which is a very different value than the orange ink. And so I'm going to come in here and use this to pull this away from the background. Yeah, that's fun. Just needed something a little bit more. And so in the foreground, I'm going to be drawing a number of these silly people. I might even draw that slap happy action figure and his bald wife. I don't know. We'll see who I draw. See, that's fun. That's sort of exactly what I wanted to do out of this, and I think that the orange is much. See, it's much stronger. It works much better to do a contour line with that. But I'm still going to put some of that dark green in there and play with that a little bit. So I don't know. As far as it goes for what we've talked about today with as social creatures, we all influence one another. Your friendship with another person, my friendships with other people other than myself. You gotta love yourself and be a friend of yourself. But there's a hope. There's an optimism in that friendship, and hopefully you're choosing someone of a like mind to you, or somebody that you can associate with and understand. Power dynamics are everywhere, and I think that the power dynamics problem of deferring to these people that imply they're an authority when they really are not, and I'm an influencer. No, you're not. And to those that you are, we need to talk to them, not you. So I think that it's just power dynamics. It's just more of the same as everything else. It's just people that we give power to have some interaction in our lifestyle, in our existence. And if you can keep yourself from doing that, there are a bazillion choices out there. There's a bazillion resources out there for you to learn things and for you to develop a discerning opinion on how you perceive the world. There's all kinds of great stuff out there. But if anybody is interested in criticism on their work, if anybody is interested in interacting and showing your work to somebody else to get some sort of responsive opinion, try to find people that you know and you trust and you appreciate what they're doing, as opposed to submitting your stuff to some public forum for them to denigrate you for their benefit. Because that's basically what the application is. Chris says teachers used to be influencers, not anymore. I think that good teachers still are. I think that the good teachers are affectatious teachers. I think good teachers, and people can tell what good teachers are, because good teachers inspire, and good teachers are there not for themselves, but they're there to with their students and to educate their students with the things that they are prepared to do. And and expand their minds to go off and do what they do and be who they are. Those are good. Those are good teachers. Those are influencers, and a positive influencer in a community. Because knowledge is strength. Knowledge, having an idea of something and being able to come up with your own ideas is wonderful. It allows you to be whoever you want to be. But people that just say this is the way it is and ha ha ha, no, they're not. That's not teaching. You have to learn these things because you are required to do so, and I'm required to pass that on for my paycheck. Those aren't teachers. And those, neither should they be influential. You don't want to influence people by compressing them into another cog in the machine. You want to influence people by expanding their mind and having them become something more. There's 1 million people in the world. Even if you have 1 million followers, you're still not changing the course of things. I disagree with that. Mr. Wood, my grade 10th geometry teacher, I always remember his eye rolls grading my paper. That guy's a jerk. He's a jerk. Unless, okay, we tried. Let's try a different way, Dad. And let's try looking at it this way, because he went, oh, that didn't work. That's a different thing, right? But if it's like, oh, this kid, that sucks. You're still not changing the course of things, or you still don't make them think. 1 million followers of something turns into mobthink. It just does. Or 1 million or billion? 1 million. 1 million. It doesn't matter. The numbers are arbitrary. 100,000. It just does. If you espouse things in an objectivist way, this is how it is, that is how it isn't. And you affirm that, and you state that in such a way, and these people watch it, and these people think this thing, because that is authoritarianly dropped on them. Is it right or wrong? No. The news media puts a narrative out in this way, and if they're not thinking and creating material in and of their own selves, and not just trying to make sure that they're up to date with the latest whatever that they're all pushing, I think that people will pick up on those narratives. But if you have 1 million followers behind you, you will sell a bunch of crappy products to people that they don't need. You will. You will change how they think, and that they believe, they perceive that they need to buy crappy products. So maybe I've read what you've said wrong, but 1 million people changes the course of things, because the more that people follow and encourage people to show videos of themselves in their fancy airplane that they didn't earn, and here's all their cars that their parents have given to them, or even if they're some kind of corporate raider that developed this amount of money to have this egregious lifestyle, young people will watch that, and there will be people out there that think this is what living in success is, right? 1 million people. Flues can't be wrong. Eat garbage. Flies can't be wrong. And 1 million people can't be wrong. Oh, like, they'll eat garbage because there's 1 million of them, and they've been told to buzz around garbage. There's an old expression that if everybody thinks something's the right way, somebody's not thinking. It's as soon as you have any large volume of people on anything, then you have an immediate separation of, individualism. You just do. The more that we adopt, in society, we adopt this social agreement on these are the laws, and these are the basic truths that we want to uphold and support and encourage in our society. But then there's provisional things in that. There's always provisional things in that. Like, you've got somebody banging on your door in a place, and the police are called to say, please, this person bangs on my door and they're irrational. And the police say, well, we're set in this strict set of rules that we have to follow, and we can't do anything about the person that bangs on their door. They're not actually harming you. But they are harming that person because there have been an affectation on their sense of well-being from this crazy person next door always pounding on their door. Now, how that works in the broader narrative is that, well, we've agreed that the police are only equipped and able to do things in this structured way because if we gave them license to address any complaint that anybody gave about any single thing and acted unwarrantedly with far more liberality on their part, then they stop being upholding the general consensus and they start being their own voice, right? So the globe in the background brings your eyes to the horizon. Well, the idea is it separates, we've talked about this before, it separates this plane from that plane by having that definitive line across it. The idea is that the globe pulls forward and it pushes the background back. Now, when you put a highlight line around here, optimally, it now becomes 1, 2, and 3 layers to an image. I don't know. It's a tough one. There's such a thing as having X amount of people that you engage with on a regular basis. And you try to encourage their growth and development, and they try to encourage your growth and development. But the more that we get into mob-think, I think we get away from that. And the more that we give any authority whatsoever to those crazy thinkers, Donald Trump's nobody. He's just a person. Do you know the story of the water that makes you crazy and the one who told people not to drink because they'll get mad? And finally, he drank from the water because all the people said, "See that crazy person?" Yeah, don't believe the hype. Don't believe your own hype. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's groupthink is not healthy. I just think it's not healthy. And sure, anybody's susceptible to getting caught in their foisted upon their own petard or caught in their own false narrative. But how do we know? We live in a global world right now, and we've always lived in a larger global world, but now you can't escape it. Now you can't. You're the same as them, and they're the same as you in all these different places, is the idea of a global society. But it's not. It just shows more disparity in society and all the disagreements that are out there in society and all the differences in society. And everybody is interested in protecting their idea of society and perpetuating that. And that includes, corporations and organisms and organizations and big business and countries, and everybody wants to have their thing be their thing in a world where that's falling apart. That's what postmodernism is it's the beginning of the breakdown of the old system and the adaptation of a new one. And yet everybody's going to struggle and fight and kick to keep the old way going, or thinking that the ways decreed in the past are the ways that always have to be. And that's why there's all this disruption, because you got two opposing forces. Russia thinks the Ukraine should be part of Russia, and it also wants to defend Russia, as Russia has been, from people being able to walk through Ukraine into Russia. It doesn't matter. None of those things matter. Land doesn't matter. It's like, but this is the world, and the world is having a whole lot of growing pains going on, and that's just natural. But you hear all these people that this is a definitive opinion of what is good and what is bad. And that's hard. That's hard because everybody's going to have different viewpoints on it. People will disagree with one side or another side on the same point of an argument. And because it's just growing pains. It's the same as when we learned to walk. It's the same as when we went to a primary school for the first time or stepped outside of our parents' house in whatever way that we did. And it's the same as going off from the comfort of your recognizable community to a larger community, whether it's, education or employment or whatever it is. These are always growing pains, but we're just, because of mass communication now, we just see them everywhere. You can't escape them, because even when you don't watch the news, you hear the news, and you hear about terrible things happening in places, and you hear about, I miss the days, and anybody of a certain age will remember this, but I miss the days of the local newspaper and the local television station talking about the local high school is having a bake sale. And it being a big part of the story for tonight on the news. Local farmers are blah, blah, blah. We used to have agricultural news in London. I don't know if they have that anywhere anymore. But London used to have lots of news about local farmers. It's a larger world, and there's, lots of different takes on it, but the social influencers and media people and the symbolic representation of those things in our world, like we're supposed to. Has anybody watched the Academy Awards? I don't know, but they exist. But for whose benefit? It's not for the starving people all around the world, and it's not for the other narratives we're given. Greta Thunberg came and said some things in front of a lot of adults and chastised them for what they're doing in the world. That's great. But who cares? There's lots more kids with lots more ideas. It's just tokenistic when we just listen to this one kid and everybody has to stop and pay attention to that. I think that it's going to be a completely different planet that we live in when my grandkids are adults. And they're on their way there now. People seek validation outside them. That's why they copy others. But real value comes from being unique. That's wonderful. I'm 100%. 100%, Miriam. I don't watch those big events anymore, neither Oscars or Emmys, etc. Yeah, I've never understood those things. I really haven't, except for when this British comedian would come on and just rib all of them. And act and recognize himself as an active participant in the fakeness of this world that, it represents. He himself is part of it. I think a person with a sense of self-awareness like that is fantastic. And the fact that they asked that person to come back a number of times just shows you how disconnected and clueless that entire world is. Why would you give this person a seat again to point the finger at you and say, you guys are ridiculous? You know this, right? Well, I don't understand why he got to go back. I really don't. But at the same time, I think it's really interesting that he did, because it just, if that isn't enough validation, for the argument that there's no point in watching this, there's no point in this, there's no value of this thing. It's some people are just doing this to give themselves a thing. Or to hang around with these celebrities, as it were. I thought it was so great. What's that guy, Ricky? He wrote The Office. He starred in the British version of The Office. Ricky. Anybody can remember? My brain's having a hiccup here. I can't remember his name. But Chris says the only thing they do is asking about the designer who they are wearing. The same question, all the reporters. Well, I think that they're only allowed to ask certain questions. Right? Like, why would you, what are you going to, honestly, what are you going to look to an actor to ask them in the first place? Was it hard remembering the lines and where to stand on the spot and pretend that you're doing this thing when you're in your action movie? Okay, great. Is it hard just, pretending to be a person that you look nothing like or have, but you're acting and trying to project this character, and that's a space alien that can read people's brains? I don't know what you ask these people. They do it all around the world. All different countries have these same kinds of award shows where they can just have these people come out and sell you their soap that smells like armpits. Oh, that's right. That's Chris. That's right. Who are you wearing? Isn't that what they say? Who are you wearing tonight? I'm not wearing any human skin tonight. I mean, this dress is from Lizard People. Miriam says, I like the stories about how the movies were made. Well, that's fun stuff, but that's not what those things are. One time, the awards things we're talking about specifically, that's not what those are. One time I watched was when Will Smith hit someone. I know, too bad. The fact that that person wasn't put in jail afterwards is sad. That's assault. That's simply assault. And if that's not one of the most publicized cases of assault, I don't know what is. But why isn't he in jail? Why isn't he in court? Why does he not have action taken against him in a society that puts people in jail for small? Why is that guy allowed to do that? There's no justification for that action. There's a double standard there. The slap happy actor, not a good one either, by the way. Not my opinion, anyways. He has had roles, and he was interesting in the past, but when you're just playing the same note over and over, no. Ricky, don't you lose that number? Isn't that Jimmy or Billy? Phil Collins reference. Ricky Gervais, thank you so much, Jim. He has a fantastic few shows that he's done. He has one where he's a person of diminished intellect who works at an old folks home in England, and just the characters that are around it and the awkward situations, and he has no idea, and he's trying to understand himself as a place in this world, but at the same time, there are proactive influences around him, and there are really negative influences around him. And that was an interesting show. I can't remember the name. I'm sorry. Just look up Ricky Gervais. And then there's another one where it's about a reporter who has lost the love of his life, his wife, and he has lost the humanity, and he's disconnected the humanity inside himself as a person who reports interesting things happening in the place he lives and the people around him. And he's trying to find himself back to a semblance of possibility in his life. I can't remember the name of that one either. I'm so sorry. But he's an interesting writer. He's not in jail because you're born in another country and decide to be an artist instead of a prosecutor. He's not in jail because he makes money for a corporate machine. So they'll spend money on their lawyers and those people to keep him liberated. That's all. It's a double standard, right? That double standard is pervasive throughout the world. I don't know. All this heady talk, at the end of the day, I hope that everybody is able to find vehicle in their own voice. I hope everybody is able to find some ability to step away from all of this celebrity, this social influencer, all of this other nonsense, and find a chance to create with their own voice, to sing their own song, to give themselves a moment. The grand project that you have is a great one, and it'd be great to see people pursuing the grand ideas that they have dreamt up. But if you can just give yourself a minute, just to do something simple and creative, and turn off all of the external, things that take you away from your own process. Turn off all of the social medias and distractions and all the influencers, and listen to your own creative voice. If there's an ability for people to do that, then give yourself a moment. And that's hard because life is busy, but if people are able to do that. Copy others or find your own style. Yep. I mean, yeah, just gives you, if you're sitting down and you're creating things and you give yourself a moment to do that, you're definitely going to find your voice. But if you don't give yourself a chance to do it, you're not going to. But trying to keep up, but I think that's what you're referring to. I got to be honest. I've never felt like I'm any good about keeping up with chat. Yeah, if you're able to do that for yourself over the holidays, please. If you have any holidays, one of the things about having retired from the place that I worked for all those years is, in my instance, and I recognize that I'm older than people and in a different spot here, but I worked every Christmas. I've worked through holidays and stuff because, unfortunately, I didn't have, the situation where I could not. And so holidays are hard. Some people just don't have them. But if you're able to, dance in the rain. It's snowing here. It's been snowing here for a couple of days. It's just drizzling. It's next to no snow on the ground compared to how it can be. And, it's exciting to me. I love the weather and stuff like that. And one of the things that I do to give myself a moment over whenever I have the free availability to do so, and I'm going to do some over these holidays here at Christmas and New Year's, is I'm going to go play in the snow. I love playing in the snow. I love shoveling snow. I don't know why, but I just do. Every year I look at a snowblower, and every year I go, no, because I like shoveling. That's why my friends call me Whiskers. Okay, so today's page is about Hollywood symbolism. Chris writes it down on the paper so he stops forgetting. Hollywood symbolism. My brain just shut right off as I was writing this down. Symbolism. And the suggestion came, I have to look up who that suggestion is so I don't have to look in a book again. Where did that come from? Anyways, if you guys are looking for engagement with others about your work, find people. That was Marvin. Thank you, Marvin. Marvin L. Find people that who's what they do you find interest in, and you've got your intrigue about what they do and how that might be incorporated into what you do, or if they do a similar thing to what you do, but you feel they might be in a place that they might have some insight for you. Find those people. Find people that but they're also people that you can trust are going to do so in an earnest way, and and that you get something good from. I'm going to pick on somebody who I think is in the chat still. Jim Luan here is an amazing animator. And if you get an opportunity to go look at his work, I speak up Jim a fair amount because I think that for such he's done 30 or 40 films Doing a film is Herculean. Doing 5 films, that the number of people that are ability to do that cuts down drastically, of any length, by the way. But to be able to have produced the body that he has, that has a consistency to it, and it's interesting. It's interesting and it's enjoyable and good work. And yet that guy gives up so freely. He freely gives away the goose and tells everybody everything that asks about how his process works, what he uses, and it's amazing. I think that's, and if you're interested in trying animation, that'd be a person to talk to about, legitimately starting to look at starting to work in animation. Not like I've dreamt of doing it one day. Don't inundate people with that. But there's a person that anytime I've said, am I turning this, like, when I'm trying to use this doodly do, am I clicking the wrong thing? And he goes, oh, I just use this thing and it's less clicks. And I go, oh, so that if you can find people like that in your world, that's it's a very generous thing. I don't think of myself in this regard. This is me doodling. This is me doing whatever in whatever different format I'm trying to do each day. And if anybody picks up things on, hey, I can try that, or hey, see that? I hate it. I'm not going to do anything like that. That's great. Chris says, I have a holiday period right now, but no income till the 31st. So I've learned to save and budget these months. Yeah, that's smart. That's smart thinking. Good for you. That's how people should be, right? It's challenging. We all got to keep ourselves within means. And there's a great temptation in the online world where, hey, look at bauble. And everybody goes, I want that bauble. And click, you can order that bauble. And I'm always worried about how many people do that don't have the accommodation to order the bauble. Even this thing that I was talking about last week with this 9 buttons on it, there are so many versions of this, and I bought the cheapest one I could find. And the reason I bought the cheapest one that I could find is because to see if it's worthwhile, to see if this sort of thing works or not. If I were to buy another one of these, I wouldn't until this one breaks. Oh, here we go. Hollywood. Which temple is that? Hollywood. Hollywood. Had to come out at some point, Chris. Good for you. Who's this guy? Here we go. I'd like to publicly thank Gary Hodges, Paul Pate, and yourself, Christopher. I've never met yourself. No big deal. Behind the scenes feedback on the full fungus, it's been helpful. Well, it's great film work. It really is. And the opportunity for somebody to say, hey, what do you think on this? And for us to be able to go, I enjoy this part. I really like this. This is good. That speaks volumes about when people don't say, what do you think about that part? I really like the other part. That's constructive without being malicious or negative. And I think that when it's people that that can handle the criticism of, I think that maybe this part needs to be reworked. It's interesting, but there's a lot of trust in that. And whenever people like Jim will say, hey, what do you think? You want to talk about this part? And there's a lot of trust in that. And I really appreciate that. I mentioned Jim because I'm not one for giving away that very easily. So if there's somebody like Jim who's like so free and abundant, if I can tell anybody anything that I do to help encourage their growth, I'm going to do it. But like these paint markers that I just got, I got a set of 12 for $15 Canadian. Now, what does that mean? That means these are very cheap. But they do the job. Are they the most fantastic? I don't even know what they're called. Instructions. Oh, there's instructions on the back. That's great. Acrylic paint pen. Oh, Montmartre. Ooh, Montmartre. Fine. Great. That's a fun name, but what that brand is, I've never heard of it before, but you can do the things that you're interested in pursuing and doing without having to spend a lot of money. And a good way to find out about that is looking, if you're interested in trying things without really investing. And this is why I talk about the inexpensive device here, and conferring with other creative people that have more insight into what works and what you don't really need to do, and maybe the thing that they've got a more affinity for creatively. Then you'll save yourself lots of money and lots of time, but you'll still be able to pursue those things that you want to do. And when they're positive, that's the best. Miriam says, guidance doesn't need to be criticism. That's true. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's a great way. That's a great place to stay with us. Just look for proactive things. Look for things that are going to help you in your growth, and pursue the things that you're interested in pursuing. Don't buy the top of the line anything when you're just trying something out. It's like when you're going to go, if a person wanted to become a horseback rider, there are plenty of places where you can go and pay to ride a horse there. Don't buy a horse, like it's similar mindset to that. And then there's similar techniques and tricks that people do like this that keep their process going on the inexpensive. So but at the same time, if you allow yourself a moment, if you have the affinity to do so, whether it's over the holidays or in any time in general, to just take a moment for yourself and find something that lets you breathe, that lets you feel a sense of externalization and internalization. And creativity it does both of those things really well. And I always balance things out in creative mindset, because a lot of people here that come here and listen to me blather on tend to be creatives. So, all right, I'll get this sucker done, and so I'm going to do a couple more of these backgrounds, and then I'm going to illustrate a bunch of vapid. I'm sorry, they might not be vapid. They might be the nicest people on earth, but I'm going to illustrate a bunch of characters from this world. And then I'll stitch this together with these backgrounds and these foreground individuals, and do some kind of assessment on what symbolically this represents. Sounds good. All right, I'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow I am going to be doing lino cutting and wood cutting. We'll see which one we go with. Maybe a bit of both, but we'll be doing some lino cutting and some wood cutting of some images, and then doing a story from that. So if you're interested in either of those things, feel free to come on back tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST, where we'll be doing some of that. Now, if I find out from Lori that it's going to be a little bit later for the grandkids' performances, because we're going at noon, right? Then I will maybe pump it back to 2:33, but I expect to be here at 2, as far as I know. So, all right, in the meantime, I hope that you're able to do whatever it is that you're able to do to have some fun today. And I'll be back again. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Bye for now.